that she said over and over and over, leadership, 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 right? And I think that does mean that it's incumbent upon the board to set metrics and set policy. Now, you don't have to do that from a top-down approach, but you gotta do it. You have to do it, right? And I think, Sherry, where you're going with the power of your convening is incredibly important, because that is what enduring state boards do, is they build the relationships and the connections across systems, which cannot be done by other entities. They just can't. I will say, and you can write this down, one of the best policy papers that I recently came across is called Moneyball for Workforce Development. Have you ever heard of that? Moneyball. That's what it's called. I know, like shopping, right? Like that show or that one guy who gets up there and yells about, you know, where you should place your bets. And I think what's important about it is that, again, it calls out the high performing state workforce boards per what is in the intent of federal legislation. That it's not just compliance. It is absolutely what you all are talking about here. And finding your role and your leverage to be an advisor to a governor on behalf of, you know, your customers in this state. And that's far more than WIOA and WIOA program. Right? So I don't know if that answers your question, Todd, but I think the states that you already know are best practices. They really have pushed the margins of integrated data, and the board being a place where that can go. So.
Courtesy of Clay.
Oh, hey, that's great. Thanks, Clay. Yeah, there it is. This is from, Results for America. Look it up. It's a quick read. It's a great read. And I think it just really adds value to the conversations you're already having.
That's great.
So for what it's worth, yeah. Other final comments? Yeah.
I'll share. One of the things that was eye-opening was to look at all the roles and responsibilities. And what I believe is that we are, you know, operating in all of the high-level areas. What it also revealed for me was that there's an opportunity to reconcile for each of these responsibilities where it is happening. Like I heard some of the things happening at HEC staff, some of the things being dealt with, just to make sure that we as a board have an understanding of where exactly each of these responsibilities are being managed and who is ultimately, you know, we're ultimately accountable for it because there are roles and responsibilities. So for me, it was eye-opening from that standpoint in terms of crosswalking. I also, one other takeaway, and I know there's further conversations, love hearing a lot of feedback on the customers and the system. I'm all about understanding the ecosystem and then the customers in terms of who we're here to serve, because that further, in my mind, helps us focus more on in terms of our work and our time and energy and where we focus our overall capacity and resources.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's great. So
very eye-opening.
thank you for both of those. And what I added here, because, you know, we are going to capture all of sort of the to-do list that came out of this, and there are quite a bit, right? And particularly around the roles and responsibilities of the where and the who implements, which are duplicative, which have the most impact on our customers. So coming back to why this exercise is important, right? So thank you for that. Okay, great. Anybody have an ounce of energy left to make a comment or next up?
You have 1 ounce of energy.
Okay, then I'm gonna hand it to you, Sherry.
I'm just gonna talk a bit about the quick redesign of board meetings. If people have suggestions or thoughts, please send them to Todd. One of the things that I was whispering about was we at different times have had the staff say what their impact is, but then I think we sometimes get away from that. We don't want the meetings to be too long. But I'm thinking what I would like to see is us either quarterly or by month or whatever, whenever we have quarterly, have the staff explain their impact, because it is a bit obscure. It is obscured what goes into the HEC world, and that is actually part of what we are doing, and we don't know because we don't, you know. And Exactly, and like, I mean, as the chair or vice chair or chair and vice, we might know a little bit more than the rest of the board. And I think for transparency and clarity's sake, it would be helpful to go back to that model. It doesn't have to be long, but like, this is the impact, this is what we accomplished, this is what we do, just so, because they are working every day very hard. And so it'd be helpful to translate that to the board broadly.
So Sherry, question that arises in my mind after hearing you say that, and our whispers. I wonder, would you also like to see us get back to what we used to do around having chairs and co-chairs of subcommittees and task forces come and do the same thing? Here's what we did, here's what we got done, and here's what that resulted in
I think so.
in terms of impact.
I think so, just keep them tight as reports, but I think it helps everybody who isn't, day to day on this track of what's happening.
And that continuity every meeting.
Yeah,
too,
exactly.
become Part of the routine.
And then you
Which is
can
what we-
see how it moves, how the board is actually moving outside of our specific meetings, because it definitely is every day. So, yeah. That's all.
Right,
Anything else, anybody?
yeah, I mean, I,
Want to see? and
we
for
didn't
meetings
get
you're
to
not
that
seeing?
last topic.
By the way,
If you have ideas.
Leah, just sent me this morning the survey that went out to all of you, which we do periodically. We used to do it every year. We kind of fell off that during COVID. For some obvious reasons, I guess, but, we got 18 responses back. Overall, it was pretty positive. Friday's still the day, believe it or not, Friday afternoon. Somebody questioned that the other last board meeting, but anyway, we will share that with you so you can get a better understanding. Overall, it was pretty good. One of the things that came up after I looked at it so fast this morning, but I noticed that, like, what would you like to see more of? The highest ranked item there was presentations from local boards. So I thought that was interesting. There was a handful of things that we do in most meetings that, was 8 and 9 people, so, close to 50% of folks, liked it. But again, I'll share that with everybody at the meeting so you can take a look.
I think the board meetings the agendas should be dictated by, I think, Ben, or maybe it was you, Sherry, the key roles that the WTDB wants to pull out of the roles and responsibilities document. And then, like you said, the report outs from staff and the other work that's going on to meet the other roles.
Yeah, I think because Todd and the team try very hard to make the board meetings engaging and informative, sometimes what gets lost is the actual work. And that it's obscured that the actual work is happening. So I think it sounds like we want to elevate that a bit more so that people on the board can track that impact. And maybe in that conversation, you might hear something that can connect to what you're doing, that you didn't know,
No, that's great. Oh, and obviously, once we get the metrics done, those should be front and center for the meeting as well.
The interviews for sure called out the desire, as I pointed out earlier, for meetings to really be strategy sessions around why is this metric showing this? And what does that say about that intervention or this initiative? And what does that mean for informing our customers or engaging partners in a different way? So.
I'm curious for the surveys, who did you send them out to?
The board members, the
Oh, the board
WTDB members.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I guess finally, we just want to thank you, Lindsay. Thank you.
Thinking through 4 hours.
I don't know how you did it. I was
Keeping your energy.
AI to take these notes. I would have been running around for nothing, so that's impressive.
All right, everyone, thank you so much.
Yeah.